Hello and welcome to this open house for the Focusing Resources Interrelationship Focusing Certification Program. It will start this October, or a new one starts every October. And you're here to meet the teachers and co-mentors, or at least quite a few of the teachers and co-mentors of this program. And do feel free to write in the chat as we go along, in case you want to bring up questions. What we're going to do today in this 90-minute program is we're going to talk about what happens in the certification program, and also talk about what might be the benefits to you, why you might want to join, help you decide whether you'd like to take it or not. It's a 2-year program. Starting this fall, it meets on Thursdays, 4 to 6 Pacific time, 7 to 9 Eastern time in the US. It's be Friday mornings in New Zealand and Australia and China and so on. In Europe, it'll be, what time is it, Jacek? 1 in the morning?
Yes, indeed.
In Europe, it'll be 1 in the morning. I honor you for being here.
Pleasure.
And it meets 33 times the first year, 33 times the second year. And we have a curriculum, a program of teaching that I think what the very first thing we're going to do is tell you about that program. And when we get to one of the people here who's a teacher in the program, we'll have that person tell you about what's going on. Some of the people here are co-mentors, and we'll talk a little later about what co-mentors are, give a chance for people to introduce themselves as co-mentors as well. So the program starts in October of 2025, the times I gave you. And the first year of the program concentrates on working one-to-one with people, taking them through focusing professionally, becoming a focusing professional. And this is a program for people who feel passionate about sharing focusing with the world. Whether you want to do that for money as a profession, whether you want to combine it with something you already do, whether you want to do it as a community support wellness effort, that's up to you. But you don't need some kind of degree or prerequisite in order to take this program. All you need is focusing training. Oh, thank you. Ginevra just told me I need to promote Helene. There you go. There you go. There you go.
Okay.
There you go. Okay, good. So wonderful. Helene's another teacher. We're going to talk ourselves through the program. So we start with classes that have to do with working with people one-to-one. And fundamental concepts of interrelationship focusing, power of cultivating self and presence, empathic attunement and listening. How do we tune in to the felt meanings that we sense are going on in another person? How do we facilitate people to get felt senses and to go deeper into the focusing process? How do we do that professionally? And one of these early classes, many of these early classes are taught by me and Barbara McGavin. Barbara couldn't be here today because she's in Europe. And pretty soon, like I think class number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, taught by Helene Brenner. Helene is here. Give us a brief description of what you present in your class on close and distant process.
Okay. Well, hi, everybody. The class on close and distant process has to do with how there's a continuum of how a focusing process of how loud we hear and our felt senses and how we respond to them. Close processors tend to hear things louder, and I'm one of them. And distant processors tend to feel them a little bit more faintly. However, there's definitely going back and forth between those two and hybrids, but it's very helpful. I think it's a relief sometimes to know that your way of processing is completely valid and wonderful, and there are tools and methods of being able to be one of those types and be able to have a better sense of relationship with your focusing process.
Super. Somebody is asking about the video. This is a webinar, and technically what that means is you'll only see the panelists. We will not see you. Later, when you want to ask a question, we can promote you so that you can talk and be seen, but that isn't going to happen yet. So you just see the panelists for now. Great. And then soon after Helene's class, there's a class by Emily called Frameworks of Process and Meaning. Talk about that, Emily.
Yeah, that sounds like a mouthful, but it's actually super practical and really, really fun. It has to do with the exciting difference between being a guide, which is what you'll be learning to do, and being a companion, where you hold the frame of the client's issue in a more kind of conscious way. So we explore those layers, and it ties into a class I teach later about the beginning of the session, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Absolutely, we will. Thank you, Emily. So there's going to be some classes getting you started in working with practice clients. So for the first maybe 12, 14 weeks, each week we have a meeting, we have a classroom meeting, and then each week you're also partnering, trading focusing sessions with someone else who's also in the program. We'll take, I would say, no more than 20 people, and it may be fewer than that. And so you'll be meeting each week with somebody in the program, somebody else, so you end up meeting everybody. And around January, two things happen. One is that we form you into triads that are groups of consultation groups for learning focusing together in an intensive, supportive way, where you meet with just two other people in the program for the next 4 months, every other week. And that meets in the same time that otherwise the classroom would meet. So at that point, the classroom meetings are alternate weeks and the triad meetings are alternate weeks. And in the triad meetings, you do focusing, companioning, observing all around the room for 2 hours with a safe, supportive format for giving feedback to each other. Very rich learning experiences. This other thing that happens around that time is that we get you ready to see practice clients. Working with practice clients is a key part of the program. Emily, tell us about getting ready to work with practice clients.
Yes, I teach a course called Boundaries, and I'm sure some of you already work with clients, so you'll be familiar with the kind of boundaries, say, that therapists set. There's some things in common with that, but it just has to do with your relationship with the client and how all the nuts and bolts of scheduling, how to make agreements and keep them with the client. And that's when we get into actually what you do, like how you contact your first practice clients, which will be people who have experience with focusing, which is nice. It's like riding a bike with training wheels because the horse kind of knows the way. But you can practice all your new skills without having to worry about them going off the rails. So
Nobody goes off the rails.
What's that?
Nobody goes off the rails.
No.
But without worrying about them not understanding what you're talking about.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you get people ready in that class for seeing practice clients, which includes a format for reporting to your mentors. Oh, did I mention the mentors? Yes, I'll say a little more about that. Even before you start at the first classroom meeting, after you get accepted in the program and you've accepted it yourself by paying us some money, you then choose a co-mentor. Now, everybody in the program gets 2 mentors, but you don't get a choice about one of them because one of them is me. So thank you, balloons. I never know how to do that. So there's a list of co-mentors, and many of them are here today for you to meet and get to know better. And you have a chat with each person you're drawn to, and the 2 of you decide you'll work together, and that's your co-mentor. So you now have 2. Me and you and the other mentor meet by Zoom even before the first classroom meeting, and also at the middle of the program, and also at the very end. And we, the mentors, watch over the training. So it's very, very closely supportive training. We don't just leave you out there. We're staying close to you. When you start seeing practice clients, and Emily will be showing you how this works in that preparatory meeting, there's a format for getting feedback from the practice client and for reflecting on how was the session that I just gave? How was I? And was there a place where I had a question or didn't know what to do? And you reflect on all this. Maybe you add a bit of the transcript that we'll show you how to make of the session. Send it to your 2 mentors by email, and they will both reply. Or one will reply, or the other will reply, or maybe if there was no question at all, we'll leave that one unresponded to. But it's a very rich learning experience that involves your 2 mentors and your practice clients. So back to the program. At this point, we're still giving you information about what happens in one-to-one sessions. And one of the things that happens in one-to-one sessions is that you help clients who encounter parts. Protector parts is the first one we're going to talk about. Marcella Calabi is the teacher of the class on protectors.
Hi. Well, protectors, oh gosh, we all have them. We all used to hearing them. Sometimes we think they speak the truth. Sometimes we think they are us. And so getting perspective on those protector voices is so powerful. And it's so clarifying about what's going on within us. And sometimes it's funny because you find yourself going, oh, you're not me. And and everything shifts in that instance. So it's very powerful. I also want to say, and this is such a graceful way of allowing each of us to introduce ourselves and have our voice be heard. But as a result of picking out these classes that people other than you are teaching, we're sort of in a very lovely sort of leaping through the garden way, skipping over all the classes that you and Barbara teach, which are so profound and so fundamental to a fresh new way that most of you have already experienced of being in the world with the help of interrelationship focusing, this set of vocabulary and ideas that Anne and Barbara have been so brilliant in developing. So it would be completely fascinating to go through all 33 66 meetings. Okay, some of them are triads, all right, I'll give you that, one by one, and you would just be agog at everything that gets covered.
Marcella, that's so graceful of you. I really appreciate it. Yes, she's right. And by the way, I've put in the chat the link to the main description of certification program. On that page, there's a place where the curriculum is listed. So yes, this is the way you're getting to know. It's inner relationship focusing. And thank you for asking, because many people don't get it right. I've had people graduate from certification and not get it. Um, all right, let's see. Oh, so now we're coming up into March of the first year. And then Emily and I have a series of 4 classes in which we introduce the fascinating topic of giving somebody their very first focusing session. So you're sitting across from somebody who doesn't know focusing, who's never had a focusing session, and you give them their first session. That's such a fascinating, complex topic. It takes 4 meetings to describe it. And Emily teaches the first one.
Yes, and some of you may have already taken Anne's demonstrations of facilitating focusing class, where she takes 3 different people in the course of the class through a session in front of you, which is really, that's a huge learning. And you can take it as many times as you want, right, Anne, once you've taken it the first time.
The thing is that the course Demonstrations of Facilitating Focusing, which is a 3-meeting course where each of 3 weeks I work with a person new to focusing who I've never met, and then we talk about it. That's open to the public. That's why Emily is saying some of you may have taken it. Once you're in the certification program, you take it for free as often as you like, forever.
Yeah.
And
So
you must
there's
take it
that.
once.
Yeah, that's
there's
a big to learn by modeling. But then when we do parts 1, new people, parts 1 through 4, the first one is the conversation at the beginning of the session, which is where, picking up on that first class, I mentioned the framing, frameworks of process and meaning. We learn how to have a conversation with a client, an empathic conversation where you help them define their issue in a way that kind of creates momentum into the session. It helps them actually start the focusing process versus informally and really organically. So that's an exciting class. And then Anne does the second and third of the body of the session. Yeah.
which I'm not going to talk about, but
Right,
Emily
that's
does.
another. And then I do
Emily
the
does
end,
the
how
class
to
on
come
the
out.
ending. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's right. And the other thing we want to do that year is can help people connect with your own sense of rightness about working with people. And once people start working with other people, you get in touch with the fact that that brings up feelings for you. And by the way, your own focusing process, your own feelings, your own development of your relationship with yourself and other people, that's happening all through this program. It's not just about other people, it's about you too. So Helene Brenner offers a class that helps people look into how to get in touch with. Why don't you tell us more about that, Helene?
Yeah, well, I think this is a very personal class where you've learned about working with new people, you're getting ready, or some people have already started seeing practice clients. And that brings up some things for all of us, I think, when we're doing something new. And this class is a really supportive class on really sensing your rightness with working. It may be with working with certain kinds of clients. It might be your own trepidation about it. It might be just questions you have, excitement you have. It really is I really make it personal as far as really sensing in your body what's right for you, what might cause a little bit of kind of butterflies, or information that you feel you need. And there's no question or no feeling that is not greeted and welcomed and given TLC and heard out and given support. And and also what makes a guide different than a companion, and sometimes people who've been therapists have certain questions too on how to differentiate these things. And so it's just really, I'm there for you in this class. I got your back. So yeah.
It's really powerful. Yeah. Well, we're moving now to the second year, and the second year emphasizes working teaching classes. And Even if you think you'll never want to teach a focusing class, we want you to teach one of them. Because even if all you're going to do is work with people one-to-one, the kinds of structural organization that you need in order to teach even a brief class, just a 5-meeting class to 2 people, very powerful for grasping the essence of what we're working with. So everybody teaches a class in the second year, even a simple 12-hour 5-meeting class. And we have various meetings that are about that, designing attunements and exercises, creating safety in groups, getting in touch with what we value as teachers. And one of the classes that are about working with people is taught by Ginevra Howard. And it's called Answering Typical Questions Asked in a Level 1 course. How would you describe that, Ginevra?
Yes, so I teach Path 1 and 2, as some of you know, and you will be teaching a Level 1, which is like the first half of Path 1 as part of your certification. So in this class, we talk about typical questions that might come up from your students when you teach a Level 1 class, and how to answer them, how to have empathy for the spirit of what's being asked, discerning whether a question is a request for information or a request for help or a request for clarification, or sometimes just by expressing the question, there's no need to answer it anymore. So we explore these things together.
Nice. Thank you so much. So also during that second year, there are some additional topics, not just about teaching your class. We are so fortunate each year to have with us Pat Omidian and Nina Joy Lawrence, who have developed a whole way of bringing focusing that is community oriented. Pat, do you want to tell us about the class you offer?
Yeah, so, gosh. Yeah, Nina and I have been doing this for 25 years or so, and it's really about working in groups, working in existing community settings or whatever, bringing focusing into whatever else is going on. And thinking about focusing beyond the dyad process into what other ways does it fit in life, and how might one think about focusing in new ways and in community. So
yeah, and we get to hear your wonderful stories about bringing focusing to Pakistan and other places.
Yeah, we have 2 coordinators from Afghanistan.
That's so wonderful, yeah. Because of them. Also in the second year, when you take this program, unless you already have a thriving practice doing something else and you're just going to combine focusing into it, you may need to build a business. And we don't want to leave you without any help with that. So we have 2 classes taught by Emily and one taught by Barbara that are about the communicating what we do to other people side of things. Barbara teaches one called Find Your North Star. Emily, what would you like to say?
The 2 that I teach are around defining what's your ideal client that you're suited to work with. Like, some people, it really varies for people. I really love working one-on-one, for example. Some people prefer teaching, so it depends. And so we help you define that and develop a very simple message where you can express how you help people, the problems you help them solve, and maybe the results that they'll get.
It's wonderful.
Marketing.
Yeah. It's marketing, but it's empathy-based marketing.
Yes. It was none of the yuck factor. Yeah.
No yuck. That's right. How to market by empathizing with people. It's very focusing oriented. So those of you who are here listening, I know some people are going to watch the recording later, but those of you who are here listening, feel free to ask questions of these teachers. Toward the end of the second year, people are reporting on what they did, reporting on the class they taught, reporting on the project. Did I mention the project? Oh, yes. Also during the second year, because, I see this 2-year program like an arc where it starts very much you receiving stuff, just learning. And then as you begin to see practice clients, you're beginning to give it back. You're also probably assisting us with the classes we teach, because that's a very rich source of learning how to do this. Not only how to teach classes, but there's also a lot of one-to-one work when you assist us, because we need our assistants to meet and exchange focusing exercises with the participants. So assisting us with classes does form part of the program. We don't require people to assist us with classes. If you want to assist other people with classes, that meets the requirement too. But most people do assist us. So during the first year, it's more of a absorbing and doing a little bit. And the second year, I see it as moving more into you doing more, you creating more, making this process more your own. That's why during the second year, you teach your own class. Also during the second year, you do a focusing project. Now, focusing project means you've taken some aspect of focusing that fascinates you, and you've decided to learn more about it. On my website, I have a place where some of the past projects have been listed. Everybody here took our training, and so they did a project. And it's not meant to be a master's thesis or anything like that. It's just, you learned, you created a workshop, but you didn't have to give the workshop. Just creating it was enough on some special aspect, focusing on chronic pain or focusing combined with mindfulness or something like that. So at the end of the second year, you report on your projects to the other people in your cohort. So that's the story of the curriculum of our course. I want to invite a discussion now about co-mentorship. Such a key aspect of the program that there's going to be 2 people, and I'm one of them, who are really closely interested in how you're doing and are keeping up with you. They're like little angels sitting on your shoulders. And I wanted to give the people here who are co-mentors a chance to introduce yourself if you haven't already. Some of them are teachers, some are not. And also talk about what kind of a co-mentor are you, or what's the philosophy of co-mentorship that you have, or something like that. So let's hear first maybe from people who haven't spoken before. Jacek, do you want to go?
Yeah,
This
I'll be
is
happy to.
Jacek. Yeah.
Hello. So I'm not the only man in the team. There are more of us. There is Arno Katz in Germany and Peter Gill in the UK. And so I'm based in Poland. I am happy to be here, and I have this feeling that whoever you choose to be your co-mentor, you're going to be in good hands.
Yes.
Yes, so few things about myself. Well, I have a good fortune of being a full-time inner relationship professional. I'm actually able to sustain myself from offering individual sessions and teaching courses. So I'm not boasting here. I'm just trying to say that it's the quality of the program that helped me achieve that. And I feel very, very fortunate, and it's a blessing. So this work is important to me, and being a co-mentor is really making some contribution towards spreading this important work, right? So we are in this large web of connections, each contributing an important part. So for me, being a co-mentor really is about working together.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just, just being together and getting to know each other through this experience. And what is important to me is to be there, be available, be reliable,
Yeah.
and just respond to what is needed at the time. Things can change. We move through the valleys, through the forests,
Sounds
through
nice.
different
Sounds
places.
nice.
So yeah, what else I could say about myself? I like to live in both parts of my brain. Yes, I do focusing, but I also have a degree in mathematics. Don't hold it against me. I quite like.
Aren't you a musician as well?
Yes, I have some experience with playing guitar. I'm not a professional, but part of my project, an interesting thing, a part of my project that was mentioned was creating a focusing course for musicians.
Yeah.
That was quite nice. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for staying up
Yeah.
late to come be with us for this program. Yeah. Well, Paula, maybe you'd go next.
Yeah, glad to go. Hello, everyone. It's an honor to be here. It's the last couple of years I've been co-mentoring some people with Anne, of course, is one of them. And I'd like to say that I feel like a little bit like Jacek said, I just like to walk down the road with you in whatever your what the heck is happening place. And that can be something related to the program or something not related to the program, but to companion you to help overhear yourself. I've spent 37 years in nonprofit ministry of a variety of forms, some in the United States, some overseas. I'm a spiritual director, which is my front, but I also teach interrelationship focusing, and my heart is to train spiritual directors in interrelationship focusing, because it is my project was around that. And the discoveries that I'm making is that a person can actually go a lot deeper even in connecting to God and themselves through interrelationship focusing than traditional spiritual direction methods. I'm also getting my doctorate of ministry right now in spiritual formation and relational neuroscience. So I like to nerd out on things like attachment theory and polyvagal theory and how this is all dancing in with interrelationship focusing and our ability to become who God created us to be. So it is a joy. I often email Anne, I love doing this. This was so fun. So it's a complete joy to companion people. And and like Jacek said, anyone you choose here is going to be great. So sense who fits for you. Happy to have discussions with you to talk more if you're interested.
Thank you, Paula. Mary, would you talk about yourself and your philosophy of co-mentorship? Unmute yourself. There you go.
Well, I was really excited when you called and offered me this opportunity. And it's so nice to be with you and with everybody else. And it was such a pleasure to have you go through the program.
Mhm.
And so everything that you said just brought back all the memories of the
Mhm.
joy of that experience.
Mhm.
So I thank you for that. And
Mhm.
what I have done um, since I graduated, I think 6 years ago.
Mhm.
So I have gravitated toward one-on-one. That's really my passion. That's my joy. I still I still think about. I'm very interested in working with couples
Oh,
and also with dreams. So there are classes forming in my mind
uh-huh.
about that.
Cool.
Hopefully they'll happen soon. Uh, my my co-mentor is here, so I have to tone down my because
Really?
oh my God, it was such a blessing for me because
Mhm.
I was quite shy and you were way up there on a pedestal and I really didn't want to bother you and you were at the time the most important person in the world to me to please and so having a co-mentor was perfect for me. It just provided that experience where I could be more comfortable and I could question all the questions and get all of the support that I needed and with such empathy and compassion. And also the other part of it is she's already been through it. She had been doing all these other things, so she had all that richness to add to the possibilities. So I think that's one blessing of a co-mentor
Mhm.
is that they really let you know that the learning just keeps going.
Right.
And you don't have to know exactly what you want to do. And there is life after the after the training, after certification. And there's more and more rich, and the learning just keeps going and going and going. I have such a passion for focusing. I go to classes all the time. I'm constantly learning. And so that I can add that to my experience with my mentees, mentees.
Yeah.
So it's a very caring, very compassionate, very. It's like living focusing with a mentee
Mm.
and being there with whatever I have to offer to help them enjoy the experience as much as I did and answer their questions. I love that walking along. It's like walking along, holding hands.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Mary.
Mhm.
Let's hear from Kim.
Well, hi. I may be in one of the younger, I'm not sure if I'm going to say that right. I was in the Jewel cohort.
Mhm. One of
So,
the most recent ones. Uh-huh.
and so the faces here have been my mentors as well,
Mhm. Mhm.
whether they were my co-mentor or not. That is one of the beautiful things about the focusing community in general is the richness and willingness of people to share this practice that has been so life-giving for them. So I just want to say thank you to those of you who've gone before me and helped invite me into that. So a little bit about my style of mentoring, which I am still growing into, but I am also a spiritual director like Paula, and I met her through Anne. And so I've been assisting her in supporting people who've been trained to be non-anxious listeners to actually become relaxed companions and learn how to attune to themselves as they're tuning to the other, right? So one of the things I find myself in this place is really about being a witness to the desire of the learner. And then over time, witness to the growth that's happening. Those Anne spoke about that beginning. There's a couple of times where we're in milestone sessions together, and that's where the desire of the guide really allows is allowed to come forward really fuller and fuller. And that becomes the motivation that keeps us doing the hard thing. So another thing about me, I loved when I was going through the program, the attention that my mentors gave to my write-ups. I believe we had 25 sessions we had to write up, probably another 25 that we did. And they take time. And my mentors really took the time to comment. It seemed like they thoroughly read, and I learned so much from them. And so, as a interrelationship focusing teacher, I have found when I'm working with my students and they write back, weekly, reflecting on what they're learning, where they're feeling stuck. I love that one-on-one emailing that goes on with that. So I will be very engaged in that process. Anything else you might want to know? I'm in the central US. I'm both Canadian and American. And I just really believe our growth place is just always emerging. And when we learn how to be with ourselves in that felt sensing way and relate to what comes, places that feel stuck, they just loosen up, and we're just not trying. And I know that's been Anne's message to us all along. So even in our learning and being a guide, that's the philosophy that comes through. So really honored to be invited into this with all of you. Thanks, Anne.
Good for you, Kim. Glad you stepped up. Let's hear from Marcella.
I think it's fun to be a co-mentor. I love reading the reports because they make me think. And I love reading the questions because they make me think freshly about how to answer what my answer might be, not just in general, but for this person in this context. And then I think, ooh, shall I answer this before Anne does? Or shall I wait to see what she says? And sometimes I just can't. I just want to go burble, and I answer. And then it's just such a when Anne writes what she said. And then there are other times when I am so enriched by reading the correspondence that includes the certification student and Anne and me, and it just gets richer and richer. A couple of my colleagues in the last few minutes have talked about the learning experience and how learning never ends. Jacek, I'm just so proud of what you said about being a focusing professional as a full-time self-sustaining business. And that can happen for all of you as well. And I want people to realize that the time and effort of going through this program will not only have been retroactively justified as of the day you become a full-time self-sustaining focusing professional. It will have been justified from the get-go because, and you might decide you don't want to become, we don't know how the story ends. I don't know how the story ends for me. You don't know how the story ends for you. It doesn't end anyway, but you know what I mean in terms of results. Because the best way to learn anything is to try to teach it, try to prepare to teach it. And I always say, and I hope you're not getting bored, and I say it in every one of these meetings, going through this certification process is going to be the best thing you ever did for yourself. No matter what you do with it professionally, or no matter how you fold it into your earning life, your work life, your professional life, because it will change how you are in the world for the better. It will give you more clarity. My business is called Clarity Works, so I'm passionate about clarity. It will give you more perspective. It will give you a stronger core sense of strength and stability. It will allow you to have more of your feelings without being had by them. That is a richness in and of itself. And everything you've ever done so far to learn focusing and to bring it into your life will just be amplified multiple times over by going into this arena of preparing to help others with it. Because it's only when you start to prepare to articulate something that you really hear how much you already know and where your questions are. So I feel that I have been changed in ways that run parallel to and are separate from the question of how much money do I make off of this as a professional. And
Absolutely.
so being part of that learning moment for each of my co-mentees is just a joy.
Mm. I'm having such fun just sitting here absorbing all of this. Ginevra, will you go next?
Oh, I thought I was muted. I'm Ginevra. I love interrelationship focusing. It had such an incredibly profound impact on my life and continues to. My relationship with myself, my relationship with others, my relationship with nature, my relationship with money. Just there's no area of my life that hasn't been touched by it. And I took the certification, I remember, because I just wanted to hang out with other people who loved interrelationship focusing. I had no idea what I was going to do with it. As a mentor, I think one thing that I'm good at is helping people cut through to the essence of a situation or scenario. So when things feel or are complicated, messy, confusing, I can really help you find your right path through that. I'm not the only one here who can do that, but I do think that's something that's special about me. And I do it with humor, with humility, with wisdom, sometimes with some cursing. So that just be aware of that. And things that I also really like that you might also like are my project was on how interrelationship focusing can support people who are in 12-step programs. So that's an interest of mine. Recovery from many, many kinds of things, including complex trauma, another interest of mine. Also share an interest in interpersonal neurobiology, Enneagram, nonviolent communication, bluegrass music. I like to play guitar and sing bluegrass music with groups of people, Buddhism, and lately I've been studying finance and management just to do something totally different. I do teach interrelationship focusing and I offer one-on-one sessions. I'm also trained as an integral coach. And so I do some business and life coaching. And I have a lot of space just for a lot. So I can give a lot of space to my mentees.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Pat, will you go next?
Yeah, thank you. Oh, wow. Mentoring. I have to say, before I talk about me, Anne has been mentoring me from the get-go.
I think I mentored you before I even met you.
You were mentoring before you met me.
Yeah.
Because I was working in Afghanistan with refugees in Pakistan as well, and we needed some type of support for people suffering from war and trauma and migration and everything, and we couldn't do talk therapy. I asked Nina Joy, what you got? And she said, well, I've just started this thing called focusing. So we started teaching focusing, and I had to learn with the people we were training. And we would get letters from Anne saying, bravo, or try this, or so if you need a good mentor, they're in this room. I'm a little bit different from a lot of people in the group because I'm a medical anthropologist. And my job was bringing community mental health programs into communities in disaster and war. So that was my background. Have a nonprofit, Focusing Initiatives International, that does more of the same. And we've really set up to get focusing to places that couldn't afford to get focusing any other way. And because focusing works. And I have to say, interrelationship focusing works better than anything I've ever seen. It is so lovely because it is so easy to slip into cultures of all kinds. And one thing that Nina and I both learned is you just look for where you see focusing already happening because it's a human process, and spread it from that point and off you go. So for me as a mentor, I like working in groups, and I don't work from a therapy perspective. And if you are interested in working in groups or taking it into your own communities or something, that's what I like to do. So that would be me.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you, Anne.
Emily.
What they said. Well, I have my own business called Sustainably Sensitive, and that name is directly from my own lifelong quest to find a way to live sustainably as a highly sensitive person, which I think many of us who are attracted to focusing are highly sensitive, which is an actual genetic trait. So for me, I would say, having come from a place of really living from the head up to a point where, well, Ginevra mentioned nonviolent focusing. I studied that in the 90s, and I would hold the feelings and needs sheet in front of me and literally say, am I hungry? No, I just ate. Am I angry? No, that's not quite. And I would have to go through. And so when I think about that, when I think about what I would call the emotional and kind of interior literacy that I have now from interrelationship focusing, it's a dramatic change. And I'm so touched by what Mary shared, because I could not have been that person 20, 30 years ago who could walk with someone in a very gentle way, someone who's feeling vulnerable, even though I myself was acutely vulnerable. So that is one thing that I bring, is I've been acutely vulnerable. So I just know what that's like. And there is a certain vulnerability, and everyone here knows this, and everyone is gentle and kind. But just when you're sharing your client reports, you're really putting your heart on the line, being with people, and then to have it commented on, it's a big deal. So that to me is the heart of the program, is when you're actually working with clients and you're reporting back. So, I know I'm speaking for everyone that, we really hold you with kindness and appreciation, I would say. And I do enjoy getting into the weeds with Anne, and I totally related to what Marcella said about, shall I reply now or shall I wait and see what Anne says? But it's always an ongoing learning. And with the technology we have now, where you can actually do transcripts, so you can drop a whole little chunk if there was a chunk of the section where something happened that you can't quite figure out what you might have done differently. We can just look right at what was said. It's so cool. So anyway, cool. Yeah. So I was a musician for 40 years and had really pretty bad anxiety around auditions and stuff. So that's what got me into all this. And now I do full-time one-to-one work with clients and find it very rewarding. and love doing this work, teaching. And I only take 2 mentees a year because, like someone else was saying, I like having the spaciousness. Oh, it's Ginevra.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I can't resist making in-depth comments sometimes. And when you're doing a lot of those, the time adds up. So that's why I just only do 2. Like others said,
That's true.
for all of us, I think you can just contact us if you're interested in having a
That's right.
conversation.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I think we're at the end of what we planned. We'd love to hear from those of you who are here listening. Maybe we can, if you want to raise your hand, we could let you show up and we could see you and speak to you. While you're thinking about what, or you can write in the chat if you have a question and want us to talk more about something. And I do want to talk about the time commitment of the program because everybody's always interested in that. So I'll get back to that. But first, I'm going to play you a 1-minute video from Barbara McGavin, who's really the co-creator. She's the co-creator of Inner Relationship Focusing. She's been my friend and colleague for 35 years. And she couldn't be here today, but this is a video that of what she said the last time we had a meeting like this. Here it is. It's just 1 minute long.
This has depth, it's comprehensive, it goes into things in detail. It's really supportive. I am really, really proud of how supportive the program is, how structured it is. Structured and yet really super flexible. Like it really meets each person where they're at, and it also nurses and feeds what you really need in order to be able to develop and grow in your own particular way, but with a really solid grounding in what focusing is and how to share it with the world. And I'm really, really proud of it.
There we go. Thank you, Barbara. So the time commitment of the program. 2 hours a week for 33 weeks, like October through June, and then the second year, September through May. There's some readings. We have a teacher's manual from which assignments are given, and also some assignments are from my book, Focusing in Clinical Practice, even though this isn't technically clinical practice. There's a lot in here about working with other people. You get this book as part of your program fee. It's included, as the teacher's manual is as well. There's reading. And then every week you're going to be doing focusing with someone. For the first 14 weeks, you're trading with someone else in the program. After that, you're seeing practice clients. We want you to work with have a total of 50 practice client sessions over the 2 years. So 50 sessions, not 50 people, up to 6 sessions per person. That could be 1 a week, right? So let's say that adds another hour each week. And then in addition to the hour of seeing the practice client, you want to add half an hour to an hour to write about it so that you can send it to your co-mentors and we can give it the attention it deserves, your report on how that was for you. So that brings us up to about 4 or 5 hours a week. Then when you are assisting us with classes, or whoever you assist with classes, that will, during the weeks of the classes, that will add another 4 hours a week. So the 2 hours of the class, an hour afterwards for the assistant meeting, if it's Path to Lasting Change Part 1, and then another hour during the week to meet with, very likely, a student that's taking the class to exchange the exercises. So some weeks this program will take 4 or 5 hours. But while you're assisting, on those weeks, it will take an additional 4 hours. So it ranges from 5 to 9 hours a week. Claire wrote a message in the chat. Here it is. Oh, Ginevra's commenting on my time assumptions, my time guesses. Add 10% and round up. Yes, that's probably true. Probably will take more time than we expect. But the other thing is that if it takes more time than the 2 years, you're still in the program as long as you need to be. After the classroom meeting ends, we have monthly check-in meetings for those who aren't in classrooms anymore. And those are optional, but they help you keep in touch. Yeah, so take as long as you need. Claire writes, all of you are fabulous. Thank you. My questions. As a former special ed teacher, can focusing be used with youth, perhaps even children, and or with neurodiverse folks, like on the autism spectrum? Do we use particular texts? Do you mean with, do you want to talk to us, Claire? Do you mean with those populations, or do you mean in general? Anyway, would someone here like to take that question about, yeah, let's promote Claire to somebody who can talk. Yeah, so if you just unmute yourself.
Oh, hi.
Hi, when you asked about texts, what were you meaning by that?
Oh, no, I was just meaning with the text to be read in the program itself. And so
Right. So we'll either be giving you articles, or there's a 60,000 word document called the Focusing Teachers Manual that you'll get as part of the program.
Okay.
Or there's my book, Focusing in Clinical Practice, which you will be provided as part of the program.
Okay, terrific.
And
Thank
all
you.
of that.
Oh, good. Mhm.
All right, so stay with us. Does somebody want to respond about children, youth, neurodiverse people? Marcella?
Yes, yes, and yes. I find that, well, providing parents with the sort of something in you framing, the current generation of young parents is trying very hard, the people that I know, to help kids become emotion literate, and identify what's going on with themselves, and to be able to learn at the same time to identify what's going on with themselves from a place of presence, from a larger observing stance, is unbelievably powerful. Kids take to it immediately, and is life-changing for kids and parents. There is a whole sort of tranche of focusing professionals out there in the grand world of focusing, of people who specialize in working with children. Personally, having studied a little bit of each of several of the styles of focusing that are out there, I did that so that I would be able to participate in multidisciplinary conversations in the focusing world and make sure everybody was able to talk to each other to the best of my ability to contribute to that. So I've been to some of the trainings and conferences and stuff on focusing with children, and I still find interrelationship focusing to be the most powerful of the styles of focusing for me. For many practices, I mix and match, but so I find the combination of interrelationship focusing with children incredibly powerfully helpful for parents and kids alike. Neurodiverse, that youth all the more so, because they're just looking for help. It's hard to be young right now. I ended up accidentally working with not one but two people who it turned out had dissociative identity disorder, which I'm aware of how that's usually handled in the therapeutic world. What I could offer, in addition to what these folks were doing, was the concept of presence and the awareness that when they dissociated to such an extreme degree, it could be understood as a loss of presence to an extreme degree. And with that framing, they were able to start hanging on to presence a little more because they knew what it was they were trying to hang on to. That was incredibly potent, and they weren't getting that from anywhere else. So, just as one example, these fundamental concepts, the fundamental concept of focusing per se, which is that quality of attention that you give yourself, is universally useful. And then the additional fine frame of inner relationship focusing of the relationship between the large witnessing consciousness and all the other stuff that's going on. There isn't anybody who can't make good use of it.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire, for asking. And I appreciate your chat about giving you a sense of optimism for the lives and souls of our kids. That's great. Yes. I do want to, and Pat, you have a professional who works directly with autistic children and their parents.
Yeah, she
Cool.
was certified recently. She's been working with children with autism and severely autistic children and their parents in Pakistan, in Lahore.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, she's amazing. She actually has done work also in Europe and in the UK
Wow,
as
very
well.
good.
We also, in early days, trained teachers to take focusing into the classrooms in refugee camps, and then when they returned to Afghanistan in 2002. So
Great.
So nice, so nice. So I just want to mention that focusing training is required before people take the certification training. And there are many people teaching focusing in the world. Our focusing training is called Your Path to Lasting Change. I'm just putting a link to that in the chat. Our next focusing training is starting next Wednesday, and it's still possible to get into it. If that's the path you want to be on, that's the path. Take the Path to Lasting Change Part 1 and 2, or take a full focusing training that includes focusing partnership with some other focusing teacher. Then have a chat with me one-to-one. Earlier I put the link, and yes, some of the people here have taken it already. But even though those who've taken it already, here's your next step after watching this video and being here at this open house. Sign on for a chat with me to talk about you, how it fits for you to bring focusing into the world, and ask me any questions about your situation, and then I'll send you a certification application form. And I'm actually looking for the link to, here it is. Okay, good. If you want the link to it, schedule that chat. I'm putting that in the chat now. Schedule the chat with me is going to in the chat now. I don't know whether that completely went in, but anyway, you can always write me an email. And we have a chat. The link works. Oh, thanks, Ginevra. Oh, good. So we have a chat, 20 minutes or so. And if I agree that you're that you're ready, and we agree, then I'll send you the application. And then you fill out the application. And one thing leads to another. So that's how that works. More questions? More comments? Somebody else wants to talk to us? Anybody here have something to add? I just put the email in the chat. I just put my email in the chat. Yes. Well, that might be all.
We didn't talk about untangling, but maybe you don't need to talk.
Oh, okay. No, that's true. Yeah. So untangling is an application of interrelationship focusing to really tough life issues that are called tangles. And about 28 years ago, Barbara McGavin and I both focusing teachers at the time, developed this method because we were both facing seriously tangled life issues in our own lives. But very quickly, and we developed it out of focusing, refining focusing so that it would work for these life issues. And then people started to ask us about it, and we started teaching workshops of it. And over the following 27 years, we developed the method. We've now published a book about it called Untangling: How You Can Transform What's Impossibly Stuck. The certification program, in addition to the things we've already talked about, if you haven't taken the untangling training already, you'll take it during the certification program, and it's an additional cost because we want everybody who graduates from the certification program to have had the untangling process in depth as well. We teach it in online, live online, or we teach it in 6-day retreats, one in Europe and one in the United States each year. That, I think, does cover everything. So, a big thank you to those of you who came.
And there's a question that just popped up in the chat.
Is the content in the course related to retreats? Sorry, Jenny, will you ask us that question live? Because I don't understand it, or do you want to? I'm going to allow you to talk.
Sure, we can do that. Let's see. I know that you offer retreats, and some of the teaching comes through that format. I'm wondering if in maybe the second year when you're exploring things, if there's any conversation about kind of how-tos to perhaps offer what we've learned to others through a retreat type of format.
Wow, I had no idea that was what your question was.
Trying to get it out there.
No, we don't have that now, but we could. That wouldn't be hard. That wouldn't be hard to add, because what we do in the second year is we talk about all kinds of formats. We talk about teaching on Zoom. We talk about teaching week by week. We talk about teaching in a whole weekend. We talk about teaching in person. We also talk about not only giving courses in focusing, how to do that, but also how to create focusing inspired exercises and teach courses on other topics using focusing inspired exercises to teach other topics. So there's a lot in that second year about teaching, and we could certainly add on how to do retreats. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Very good. Well, we're just about to finish up. And was there anything else? We did say we'd stay till half past, but when you're done, you're done. Well, stay in touch. That page that's about the certification program also has a list of all the co-mentors and how to reach them. I'm just putting that in the chat again. And you'll find a way there to reach out to anybody who was here and to see the other people who are co-mentors as well. And just a big thank you to all the people who teach in this program and who mentor in this program for coming today. I've got to give you the hearts. There you go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Take care. Bye for now. Keep in touch.